G'day, Bomber fans. Talk about a good old-fashioned shellacking. That was brutal. That was not fun Friday night footy. The Bombers were absolutely destroyed at Whitten Oval. It was a massacre, a Pride round nightmare, 67-10. Embarrassing game of footy for the Bombers. Questions everywhere, not too many answers. There's clearly something going wrong with the AFLW program, which is not ideal. Let's talk about this game of footy. Leave your votes in the comments if you can find any to give out. Quarter by quarter recap. This was an interesting one. Well, not interesting. It was not interesting to watch. It was, I don't know, the Dogs kicked a goal in the opening minute, and then the rest of the term was pretty much played exclusively between the arcs. It was a scrappy game. I saw a stat, so 2 minutes before the quarter time siren had sounded, we had only gotten 6 registered effective kicks. That is an effective kick every 2.5 minutes almost, and that kind of tells you how the game was playing out. It was very windy. I don't know why, but all these AFLW games have been incredibly windy. The effort was there, the execution was not. The second, I mean, look, we trailed by a goal at quarter time, but that second quarter really told us which team was underperforming to start. You'd think it was the Bombers, because we were behind, and you'd think we'd come out and respond, but it was the Dogs. They were down in the contest in the first quarter. They reversed that at quarter time and piled on goals because of it. It went from a slow scoring first quarter to a frenetic second where the Dogs put on 5 more goals to lead by 35 points at half time. We were never going to come back from that. The third didn't get much better. The Dogs had all the play yet again. Luckily, they were inaccurate in front of the sticks. They had 6 scoring shots, but only 2 goals. Still though, they kept us scoreless for the second time in this game and led by 51 points at the premiership quarter break. Not good. And the final quarter, I think everyone was on 0 goal watch. Essendon was stuck on 2 points for pretty much the entire game, and it took until the dying seconds, literally the dying seconds. I think there were 3 or 4 seconds left on the clock when Daria Bannister kicked our first goal of the game, and if she hadn't, it would have been the first time ever in our history that we were held goalless in a game. But despite that, it was still just another embarrassment. It was 67-10. We were absolutely thumped yet again for the 3rd or 4th or 5th time this year. So yeah, what happened? Well, yeah, for all the hard work that the Bombers put in to keep, the 2 games against the top teams close, I thought we were good against North and good against the Demons. It feels weird that as soon as we play a team in our range of the ladder, actually below us heading into this game, we crumble. Like, realistically, the Dogs aren't a good team. I went and watched them last Saturday in Adelaide at Alberton against Port. Port were the better team that night, and Port have been bottom 4 for most of the year. So there are really no excuses for a team anywhere, a team on the ladder, to be losing this bad against the Dogs. There is definitely something not right with the Bombers. We were, 3-0 to start. We were on fire. We have now lost 6 games in a row, 5 of them by over 30 points. And if we go through some of the stats in those 6 games, so this is the 3rd of those matches where we only managed 1 goal for the game. There have been 6 scoreless quarters in those 6 games, not goalless, but scoreless, no points or goals. As for goalless, there have been 12. That is half of the quarters that we've played in the last 6 weeks have been goalless, and the round hasn't even ended yet, but it's likely that this will be the 5th time in 6 weeks that our final score is in the bottom 5 for the round. It's been the lowest twice already. I'm sure this will probably be a 3rd time. Yep, a lot's going wrong with this team at the moment, and unfortunately, the further this goes on, the worse we look to end the year, the more risk Natalie Wood is with her job. I'm not pinning the blame on her. That's just how footy works. When you're underperforming, the coach is under pressure. There aren't really enough injuries to justify this complete drop-off. We've got more players back since round 1 where we were winning games of footy. It's pretty wild to think we were top 2, I think, or maybe top 4 after round 3, and now with games still to play in round 9, we're 14th, 1 win away from bottom 4, or 1 loss away, with one of the very worst percentages in the comp as well. It has been a wild 6 weeks. You got to think there is something going pretty wrong, something pretty rotten at the club, because this is not the team that we saw to start the year or last year when we made finals. It's definitely more of an issue than just personnel. Now, what intrigued me watching this game is that we had our fair share of territory. The score 67-10. Keep that in mind when I go through these stats. It's a pretty bad score. The Dogs had 24 more disposals. That's not a heap, but over 10% more effective with their touches, especially inside 50. Our inside 50 efficiency was 22%. That is horrific. The Dogs had 33 inside 50s. We had 27, so just 6 less. We had 26 inside 50s without a goal before Bannister steered that one late. The Dogs had 1 more clearance than us for the game. They had 12 more contested possessions, 9 more marks. We had plenty more tackles as well. The stats are really even, and that kind of reflects how the game was being played at times. Unfortunately, and I don't want to point fingers at one zone because all 3 were woeful, but the cohesion going forward, it is a mess, and it has been for weeks. Remember, this is the 3rd time we've been kept to 1 goal for a game, and I think something else we have to talk about fitness levels. Like there was clearly one team out there much fitter than the other. I wish there were distance covered stats in the AFLW because it would be an absolute whitewash to the Dogs, and it would be eye-opening if we could see them. That they just worked harder for longer. The Bombers not only dropped their heads with a lack of effort, but at times they just couldn't keep up. There are seriously some fitness problems at the club, both men and women's. The men have at least been trying to recruit players for that. I don't think the AFL program has, and it means that we are not only getting overrun in games, but in seasons now too. Like we've got some even tougher games coming up around the corner. In fact, I think this might have been the easiest fixture we have to close out the year, and I worry that the next few matches will be just as bad, if not worse than this, because there are issues with cohesion, issues with fitness, structure, system. Is this game plan really working? I mean, there's one answer to that. It's a big fat no. It's really not a good performance at all. It was a very embarrassing showing. The season, I believe, is just about mathematically impossible to revive. Finals is cooked. It is now about how low we finish. And of course, there has to be a bit of soul searching from here too. The year started off with serious promise. I was thinking finals was definitely on the cards. You have 3 wins and 0 losses, but since that, we have done nothing but disappoint. A very ordinary game of footy, and you'd assume heat is coming on some of the key figures at the club. Yeah, not good. Let's get on to the votes. First up, before we get on to the 3-2-1, the tally after last week's game against the Demons. So Georgia Nanscorn still in the lead. Maddie P is closing the gap slightly, not yet in touching distance, but getting closer. Bonnie Toogood is third, and Georgia Clark has separated herself from that group below, and then it is Logjam City. And I guess that kind of shows you a bit of an issue with the club, because it's pretty easy to find votes every week. It is usually the same few getting the job done, the usual suspects. And now these are the votes after last week. Let's see the votes from this Doggies loss. Here we go, and again, the same few names, the usual suspects. 1 vote to Georgia Nanscorn, gave it a crack all day, was tackling hard as always. The usage wasn't good enough at times, but she gets a vote. 2 to Maddie Prasparkas, her midfield partner in crime. Same story as always, super consistent as she usually is. 3 votes to Maddie Gay. It is good having her back. She can actually move the ball forwards with a bit. Unfortunately, it dies down after that, but you could, she was good. You could give a few votes maybe to Too Good. Chloe Adams isn't too far off the game. I've actually given her a role player vote because she was, I don't know, she was a bit chaotic and wasteful at times, but that is the beauty of her because she's that smaller player, smaller than those around her, but she just cracks in and gets to work, tackles hard, doesn't give up. She gets my role player vote. Yeah, leave your votes in the comments below. And next week is round 10, the third to last game for the Bombers. We've got a bit of a rest as well. We go from a Friday to a Sunday game. Let's be real, that's needed. We looked really unfit out there, so hopefully this rejuvenates us a bit. We're continuing Pride round. I think it's a 2-week round, same as Sir Doug Nicholls. It's a home game at Windy Hill against the Brisbane Lions. The Lions are a very good team. At the time of recording, they are 5th on the ladder. They could well jump inside the 4 if they win, I think, today against Port Adelaide. So yeah, they're going to be heavy favourites against us despite being the away team. Now with the season over for the Dons, it is all really just about playing for pride. Pun unintended only. Yeah, there you go. We've got 3 games left. This might be the toughest of the lot. We just got to go out there and give 100%, especially in front of a home crowd, show the fans and the club that there is something to cling on to for season 2026. Otherwise, yeah, there will be some jobs in the spotlight. We'll see how that goes, but that is all. Cheers for watching, Bomber fans. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you are new to the channel, and as always, go Bombers.